Penguin Random House Audio presents The Lonely Century: How to Restore Human Connection in a World That's Pulling Apart. This is the author, Noreena Hertz. Chapter 1. This is the Lonely Century. Curled up against him, my chest pressing against his back, our breathing synchronized, our feet intertwined. This is how we have slept for over 5,000 nights. But now we sleep in different rooms. By day, we dance the 2-meter zigzag. Hugs, caresses, kisses are daily shorthand, now forbidden. Stay away from me, my new term of endearment. Constantly coughing, feeling achy and unwell, I am terrified that if I get too close to my husband, I will infect him. So I keep my distance. This is March the 31st, 2020, and along with 2.5 billion other people, a third of the world's population, my household is in lockdown. With so many people stuck at home, condemned to working remotely, if one still had a job that is, not allowed to visit friends or loved ones, getting outside once a day, if at all, socially distancing, quarantining and self-isolating, it was inevitable that feelings of loneliness and isolation soared. Just 2 days into lockdown, my best friend messages, "The isolation is driving me potty." On day 4, my 82-year-old father WhatsApps, "I wandered lonely as a cloud." Across the globe, staff manning emotional health helplines reported not only massive spikes in caller volume within days of mandatory social distancing, but also that significant numbers were from people suffering loneliness. "My mum won't hug me or get very close to me," one distraught child confided to a volunteer at the UK helpline Childline. In Germany, where by mid-March helplines were taking 50% more calls than usual, one psychologist working the phones noted that most callers are more afraid of loneliness than getting infected. Yet the lonely century did not begin in the first quarter of 2020. By the time COVID-19 struck, many of us had already been feeling lonely, isolated and atomized for a considerable amount of time. Why we became so lonely and what we must do to reconnect is what this book is about. September 24th, 2019. I am waiting, seated at the window, my back against the pretty in pink wall. My phone pings. "It's Brittany. She's running a few minutes late." "No worries," I message back. Cool choice of place. And it is. The effortlessly beautiful gazelle-like clientele with their fashion model portfolios under their arms hint at just how hip Cha-Cha Matcha in Manhattan's NoHo district feels. A few beats later, she arrives. Long-limbed, athletic, her smile widens as scanning the room I come into her gaze. "Hey, love your dress," she says. At $40 an hour, I'd expect no less. For Brittany is the friend I have rented for the afternoon from a company called Rent-A-Friend. Founded by New Jersey entrepreneur Scott Rosenbaum, who had seen the concept take off in Japan, now operating in dozens of countries across the world, its website has over 620,000 platonic friends for hire. This wasn't the career path Brittany, a 23-year-old small-town Floridian, had intended when she'd won her place at Brown. Yet having been unable to secure a job in environmental science, the subject she had majored in at university, and anxious about her levels of student debt, she explains her decision to rent out her company as a pragmatic one, her emotional labour as just another monetizable string to her bow. When she's not renting herself out, on average she does so a few times a week, she helps startups with their social media postings and offers executive assistant services via TaskRabbit. Before we met up, I was pretty nervous, not sure if friend was covert speak for sexual partner, or even if I'd recognize her from her profile picture. But within minutes, I feel reassured that this is friends without benefits territory. And over the next few hours, as we wander around downtown Manhattan, chatting about Me Too and her heroine, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and at McNally's about our favourite books, at times I even forget I'm paying for Brittany's company. Although she didn't feel like an old friend, she did feel like a fun new prospect. But it is at Urban Outfitters on Broadway that she really ramps up the charm, just as the meter on our encounter begins to run out. Smile now permafixed, banter upped, she joshes with me as we rummage through a pile of t-shirts and gamely joins me in trying on Crayola-coloured bucket hats. Apparently, they really suit me, although presumably she would tell me that, whether it was true or not. I ask Brittany about the others who've hired her, my fellow friendship consumers. She tells me of the soft-spoken woman who didn't want to show up at a party alone, the techie from Delhi who had moved to Manhattan for work, didn't know anyone in town, and wanted company at dinner, the banker who offered to come over with chicken soup when she was sick. If you had to sum up your typical clientele, what would you say? I ask her. Her answer? Lonely, 30 to 40-year-old professionals, the kind of people who work long hours and don't seem to have time to make many friends. It's a sign of our times that today I can order companionship as easily as I can a cheeseburger with just a few taps on my phone. That what I call a loneliness economy has emerged to support, and in some cases exploit, those who feel alone. But in the 21st century, the loneliest century we have known, Brittany's overworked professionals are not the only ones suffering. The tentacles of loneliness reach much further. Even before the coronavirus triggered a social recession with its toxification of face-to-face contact, 3 in 5 US adults considered themselves lonely. In Europe, it was a similar story. In Germany, 2/3 of the population believed loneliness to be a serious problem. Almost 1/3 of Dutch nationals admitted to being lonely. 1 in 10 severely so. In Sweden, up to 1/4 of the population said that they were frequently lonely. In Switzerland, 2 out of every 5 people reported sometimes, often, or always feeling so. In the UK, the problem had become so significant that in 2018, the Prime Minister went so far as to appoint a Minister for Loneliness. 1 in 8 Brits did not have even a single close friend they could rely on, up from 1 in 10 just 5 years before. 3/4 of citizens did not know their neighbours' names, whilst 60% of UK employees reported feeling lonely at work. The data for Asia, Australia, South America and Africa was similarly troubling. Inevitably, months of lockdowns, self-isolation and social distancing have made this problem even worse. Young and old, male and female, single and married, rich and poor, all over the world, people are feeling lonely, disconnected, and alienated. We are in the midst of a global loneliness crisis. None of us anywhere are immune. Some 6,000 miles from Manhattan's NoHo district.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?